Greetings again, my fellow comrades in humanity. I'm back again with 10 questions of the Bible, that book. So yeah, let's just get to it, I guess. Question 1, Leviticus 25:23. I want to ask, does this mean that everybody today is still just renting their land from God? I kind of understand the concept, I guess, but it's never really fully explained what this means. Even reading on, it was kind of alluded to, I guess, but there's no real explanation. I guess it's just sort of one of those I can't think of the word now. It's just something that was said that people didn't own land forever, I guess. That's why it's a question, is because I don't know. Question 2, Leviticus 25:35 to 55. Am I okay with this just blatant racism in its purest form? This is a nation giving itself away to make sure its people succeed while those around them suffer. It gives very clear distinctions of how to bring one's Israelite brother out from poverty, but gives pretty clear instructions of how to make sure nobody else does come out of poverty, and those who aren't of the Israelite Brotherhood are slowly but surely stripped of their wealth. And I think this is kind of an evil, sort of racist look at it. 26:6-8, Leviticus again. After just decreeing quite clearly, thou shalt not kill, is wrong. Now God asks his people to take up the sword. Didn't he say that his angel was going to go ahead of him and his tribe and take care of all their enemies for him? This is one of those perpetual lies that I see God making. He makes a promise and then, that promise didn't come true. And this one seems to be not coming true either. I mean, I haven't read ahead to where they actually try to take back the land yet, but he's already asking them to take up the sword. And that quite clearly goes against one of the 10 Commandments. I guess it doesn't count if you're not an Israelite. Maybe the commandments were just meant for them. I have to ask, what does that mean to us today then? I have a lot of trouble in seeing how this chosen one's now putting money value on its people. Now I understand that this is the Old Testament and it's an old-timey sort of thing. And I'm okay with that if they're people. If they were just people doing what they were doing. But if you're going to say that they were led by God, could God not have come up with a better way of doing things than putting a money value on someone's life? It just seems wrong in every aspect. It seems almost disgusting to me. I know I live in a time where slavery is looked very badly upon, but this is quite literally putting a value on a human's life. I just have to ask how anybody can reconcile with this. Because I can't do it myself. I just can't. Question 5, Leviticus 27:12 to 13. Time and time again, we see that the priest is the decider and is always paid for his assessment no matter what. He always gets his 20%, and given that he has the power of the pricing as well, This leads him open to the power of extortion in a legal manner. Again, if I look at this as humans in a brutal time, this makes sense. But again, we're faced with the question that if you have an omnipotent being looking after these people, could he have not seen a better way of doing things than making sure the priests become the most wealthy people, easily hoarding as much wealth as they can? Because at this time, you've got to remember that the chapel was a tent, and that was it. A couple of tents and a gold box. Question 6, Leviticus 27:16-20. Even after looking into the meaning of dedication, and I mean, I really tried to look hard for this meaning of dedication, because it comes up in all the passages, and I've not found any good answers for it at all. I have to ask what is going on in this passage. It seems more like theft of land due to the need of dedication, whatever that was. But did you need to dedicate everything you had at one point or another and then buy it back from the priest? I'm not sure. It kind of seems like it by how much it's in Leviticus. It's just all through it. And this gives back another power back to those priests again, that everything must pass through their hands at some point, which means they're going to get their 20% at some point on every single thing. It just looks like accumulation of wealth for Moses and Aaron. And they're going to get very rich with these people that they just let out of Egypt. Question 7, Leviticus 27:30-33. And at the end here we see the literal taxing of the people by Moses and Aaron and Levites. I must ask if this seems like the work of a god or work of a man bringing a society together in a brutal age. Although having read Numbers, they had a very large society. And this is counterintuitive to how God is seen laying it out. I mean, there is so much taxing and there is so much wealth being passed through the hands of the priests that it seems that's probably the reason they had to put in the law for the poverty, because they were making their people poor and then had to build them back up again to make sure that they could keep filtering their money back into the priesthood. It's just an endless cycle of giving to the priests. Question 8, Numbers 1:1-4. I have to ask, after just being given the decree, this is just like another one of the versions, thou shalt not kill. We see that they're not just taking up the sword, they're recognizing themselves as an army, preparing for war. And they are really a force to be reckoned with this. I mean, you go back to that time and they had over 500,000 people in their presence that were men, because they only really counted the men. So this is like, you've got about 1 million people here. That's a lot of people. And that is a very, very large army, especially for that time of the period. And again, I feel like they've done this because there was no angel sent before them to clear their way of their enemies. There was no angel, which means God lied again. He does that a lot, it seems. And he knows that his people are going to have to break the laws that he set down for them. Thou shalt not kill. You can't just come in and take someone else's land and not expect them to fight back. Question 9, Numbers 1:44-54. Now I have to ask, is there really this need for such a distinction between the peoples? And I can only see one reason for this, and again, this goes back to the accumulation of wealth. He's put the Levites in charge so that the Levites can watch over the wealth that Aaron and Moses accumulate. He needs a group of trusted people, which is why he creates the priesthood, and they get their 20% so that they aren't tempted to steal from him. And again, if you look at this as the point of man, this seems like a pretty decent way to build a society. I mean, you need taxes to keep your people going. I'm not sure how just they were with their taxes and how they used them and stuff. But it seems like the Levites are used as the wool to pull over the eyes of the rest of the people so that they can tax them as much as they can. And you see this enforced in the notions through Numbers 3:10, where anybody who even comes close to looking at the wealth that they've accumulated will just be put to death. If that's not a way to conceal something, then I don't know what is. Question 10, Numbers 3:40 to 51. How much do they have to pay for their freedom? How much tax, how much do they have to give up to the Lord? This is including sons. Now, to pay for freedom they never really asked for, never really wanted. I look back at the way the Pharaoh was treating the Hebrews before all this started to occur, and he seemed like a pretty decent guy until God gets involved, and then he becomes this one-dimensional character that just is pure evil. The more I read into it, it just seems like insanity, like absolute insanity that they would begin this undertaking. And that's my final thought of it as well. It's just the more and more I read, the more insane these people seem to be. Which, given the time, yeah, fair enough. It probably would be a bit hard to hold a sane mind in a world like that, given that they're people and that there's no God intervention, that there's no guiding hand. Because I feel if they had a guiding hand, they'd do much, much, much better. So you probably noticed I'm not my usual self. I've run out of my medication until Monday, so depression, it's fun. Just thought I'd put another video out there, see if anybody wants to listen to what I have to say. Be nice to each other, love your family, hold them close, especially those who love you. Treasure them. Treasure them more than you treasure God, if you do. For these are the real treasures of life. And as always, stay safe.